So during a recent cabinet meeting, Trump proposed to his cabinet, we should cut 5% out of our budget. So each of you go to your various departments and say, okay, let's figure this out, come up with a way to cut 5% out of your budgets or out of your department's budget, and then come back to me for the next meeting with the plan. Now, people rightfully pointing out that this is not an order, this is more of a suggestion. That when Trump says you have to cut 5%, when it comes to spending, that's entirely run by Congress, and they're the ones that write the legislation, they're the ones that vote on the legislation, and if the 5% budget cut is not included in the legislation, there's not much that can be done. Then it won't get passed, it won't get done. Now, Trump does have the power, of course, to say, okay, I'm going to veto that bill. He can say, if the next budget that comes out does not include 5% cuts, he's going to say, no deal. Now, he can veto that. What he can also do is he can fire the people in his departments. If they come back and say, we couldn't figure out how to cut 5%, then he can replace them with someone else. That's enough of an incentive right there to where even if it doesn't get passed, they're actually going to do what he says and find things that they can cut. And that at least, again, is at least somewhat of a proposal there that we can base things off of in the future. Now, of course, he calls it the nickel plan because the penny plan is cutting 1% a year. He calls it the nickel plan because it's cutting 5% every year. He did say that this might actually go on next year as well. But if this does go through, it's going to be implemented for the fiscal year next time on October 1st, 2019, which means the budget needs to be put together by sometime earlier next year. I think it's around March, April of 2019 that the budget needs to be put together. But this is a good sign. Trump has raised military spending by, in my opinion, way too much, by quite a bit. If you want to say build our military, that's great, but where are we getting the money from? It seems that we're pretty much out of money at this point. But honestly, every little bit counts. I'm saying 5% is great, but we could go so much further with this. We need to cut as much as we possibly can. Because again, to oppose spending is not to say I don't think money should go there. It's to be realistic and say we don't have money. This money is gone. This money does not exist. We are so massively in debt that eventually that money is just going to vanish. What happens if you buy something with your credit card? You're going to have to pay that back eventually. And you know what happens when you can't pay it back? You have to you're just going to lose something. You're going to lose out in some way. But this is essentially what's happening with the crazy spending, that we're spending way too much. And I understand the deficit has gone up under Trump. So when it comes to spending, Trump has done more harm than good when it comes to spending. So when he talks about cutting 5%, I'm actually come on, let's get this moving. Let's go. Let's cut more. Let's talk about cutting more because we need to cut. So anytime he talks about cutting, I'm going to celebrate it. But it's got to be more. It's got to be more. We got to cut everywhere we possibly can. And that's the thing with Social Security and Medicare. People get all up at that seems to be the one taboo issue. Not the one issue, but that seems to be a taboo issue that you can't really talk about when it comes to cutting spending, that you're not supposed to talk about cutting Social Security or Medicare. But you got to remember, either you cut it now or it's going to suddenly vanish when we cannot afford to pay it, and everyone on Social Security and Medicare is going to get a letter in the mail that says, hey, you know this thing you have? Well, starting next week, it's gone. Or next month or something. You're going to get a very short notice because they're going to push it out to the last possible second. So it's all down to, what do you think the best option is? That we drag this thing out until the last possible second and then just cut it? Or do you think we slowly start cutting, give people plenty of time in advance to get their things in order, to understand that this is happening? I think that's what you got to do. Let me know what you think. And if you haven't seen here, I'm going to plug this for a second. My newest project that I've been spending about 2 months on is nkreider.com. I'm going to start citing this more when I talk about new stuff. This is my site. This is my news site. Of course, I'm not the only person that's part of this. I'm looking for writers. I'm looking for all kinds of other submissions. News, opinion, reviews. It's a pretty bare bones site right now. If you couldn't tell, there's really not much to it. In fact, I only set up the comment section 2 hours ago at the time of this recording. But no, it's just starting. So if you're someone this is something that I think is very important that we need an actual non-biased, legitimate news source to look for things. The problem is, at the moment, you're either mainstream, which means you're biased, but you pretend not to be biased, or your alternative media in which you're responding to that bias by having another bias. Like if you're going to start an alternative media site, you're going to have like a Breitbart or that kind of a site, or that's specifically right-wing or of a certain perspective to combat the mainstream. What I'm trying to do here is say, okay, we don't need another Breitbart. What we need is a site that is what the mainstream pretends to be. A site that is actually like, okay, this is like what the BBC should be. This is what CNN and Fox all claim to be, but aren't. This is my goal here with this, is to grow this. Now, obviously, it's, at this moment, I'm pretty sure it is the smallest news source in the world because I just launched it today. Actually, by the time this airs, I'm recording this at 11 o'clock at night, so this might actually not get posted till tomorrow, which means that it's actually day old at the time that you're watching this. But, yeah, so if you haven't already, go give the page a like, because I'm trying to put more effort into this, because this is, I think, a much more important project with a lot more potential than my channel here. Of course, I'm still working on my channel. Like, I'm not going to abandon that. But this is where I'm going to be putting a lot of my energy. So, nkreider.com, if you haven't heard of it. And, of course, I named it after me without naming it after me, in a sense, because it stands for News, Analysis, and Knowledge. It does not stand for my initials. That's just a coincidence. But no, I would really appreciate it if you check it out. There's, we're looking for people to submit content here, where if you want to submit like a news story, it has to be written in a purely non-biased way. Like when I'm writing these things, there's really not much to them, because so much of what people post is all analysis and perspective and putting like a viewpoint on things. And for the news, it's just going to be bare bones. This is what happened. And then, of course, I've got opinions. I've got reviews that have nothing at the point of this recording. But as I start putting stuff there, of course, obviously opinion is biased. I don't even know if it's possible to have an unbiased opinion. But I want to start posting stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, I'll post right-wing stuff. I'll post left-wing stuff. I'll post centrist stuff. I want what the mainstream does, where they post a wide variety of opinions, and then they also post, but unlike them, I also want to post alternative media stuff, like perspectives that are a bit further outside the Overton window of opinion. But yeah, half my video was just shilling my new site right there. But anyway, go check it out, bookmark it, like the Facebook page, facebook.com/NACHubMedia. But anything you can do there is greatly appreciated. Share this around, submit something. If you know any friends that are like, they want to be writers, if they're writers for other pages, send them here and say like, hey, do you want to send one thing here? I want to make like, I'm in the process of working on this now. I want like an author's page to where, kind of like the Foundation for Economic Education has, where if you post one article, you get a permanent author page. If you want to be like a recurring author, then yeah, you'll get some kind of better special page that shows up at the top. But anyway, that's enough about this. I just wanted to talk about the get rid of the fat budget cut thing, which it's like, this isn't anything definite. This is just something he tossed out here, but this is what we need to do. We need to cut spending. This is so vitally important that we cut spending, or else it's just going to cut itself automatically all at once, and that's bad. But no, let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more. Again, check out the website, nkreider.com. And thanks for watching.